I want to remind you of the words we started with of Jesus last week. Jesus had this revolutionary call to come follow me. Come follow me. Jesus said, come follow me, and I will make you fishers. I will make you reachers of men. Come follow me. And those words were revolutionary for a couple of reasons. One, they were spoken to a bunch of people who didn't deserve to hear them. And that's all of us, by the way. That's all of us. They're spoken to these guys, these fishermen who were doing their thing. They were in their norm, and Jesus calls them out of that and says, hey, you, come follow me. That call was for the best of the best. To follow a rabbi, to follow a teacher, you were the best of the best. And these guys had already been overlooked. They'd already been counted out. They've already considered themselves not good enough. And Jesus looks at people like that and says, come follow me. And he does the same thing. It was revolutionary, absolutely revolutionary. But it was also revolutionary because it's not our natural tendency to follow someone or something else. It's just not. We all come into this world with a me bent, with a my will, with a my way kind of bent. We all are hardwired that. You didn't choose it. You were born with it. It's part of what it means to be human. Part of what it means to be human is to come out of the womb saying, me, 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 right? It's revolutionary that Jesus said, hey, come follow me. Hey, step out of the me first life. Hey, step out of the all about you life and come follow me. Because naturally, we want Jesus to follow us. We want Jesus to follow us. We want his grace to follow our earning. We wouldn't say that, but we would live like it. We want his blessing or his favor to follow our goodness and our righteousness. We want his plans and his sovereignty and his power to align with our control. We can often, yes, in some part want to follow Jesus, but so many times the me first life, the me, all about me mentality can creep in, and it's easy to go from come follow me to Jesus, you come follow me. Jesus, you come be about. Jesus, you come bless the life I'm trying to build in my own strength, in my own way. That's why the revolutionary call of Jesus to come follow me, that's why it's so groundbreaking sometimes. So we got to come back to this place of like, man, this is so different. It's not natural for us. Come follow me. And Jesus walked this out. He walked out for 3 years with these people what it means to actually come follow him, what it means to be a disciple. And I want to take you to the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 6, where Jesus is looking at people who said, Jesus, I want to follow you. Jesus, I want to follow you. I want to be about what you're about. I want to do the things you're doing. In Luke chapter 6, he walks this out, and he's walking through a teaching on, okay, let's be people who forgive. Let's be people who give. Let's be people who orient ourselves, not just with our words, but with our actions around my life and my way. Again, not the me first life. It's the come follow me life. And Jesus speaks these words we'll look at to people like you and me. He's not speaking to evil people. He's not speaking to people who've rejected him. He's speaking to his followers. He speaks these words in Luke chapter 6. He says this in verse 46. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? As for everyone who comes to me and hears my words, in other words, anyone who calls me Lord, Lord, and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. They're like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house but could not shake it because it was well built. But the one who hears my words, or the one who calls me Lord, Lord, the one that says, I'm going to come follow you, and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed, and its destruction was complete. I want to take you to a paraphrase of this passage. It's the Message paraphrase. It says this. Again, Jesus' words in this section, put a different way. Why are you so polite with me? Again, Jesus is speaking to his followers. He's not speaking to bad people. He's not talking to followers of other people. He's talking to his followers. Why are you so polite with me? Always saying, yes, sir. And that's right, sir. But never doing a thing I tell you. Wow, Jesus. Relax, man. Never doing a thing I tell you. It's like maybe you're in the room today, or you're in Middleville, or you're watching this later online. Maybe you're a manager or a teacher, or you lead people in your job, or you lead people in your home. Imagine this: you have a task to give somebody. Like, hey, I want to empower you to do this. I want to ask you to do this. Maybe it's something that they're super excited about. Maybe it's something you're like, hey, this is not the prettiest thing, but I just need this to get done. You have this conversation, and there's this saying, okay, like I got it. Got it, boss. Got it, teacher. You got it. And you come back whenever that thing or that task or that assignment is due, and you say, well how'd it go? Did you get it done? And they said, well, yeah, I heard what you said. Wow. Powerful assignment. Great job on that assignment, by the way. I heard that. I actually memorized it. You're like, okay, it was an email, but okay, that's great. Okay, well, that's glad you memorized it. Yeah, I told other people about it. Okay, great. I sang about it. You're like, that's a little weird, but great. And then you ask, did you do the assignment? Well, no, but I sang about it, but I heard about it, I knew it, but I didn't do it. That's a little bit like, that's a little puzzling, right? If you're a leader or you're a manager, you're like, you wasted all that time talking about it and it's still not done. Like, what's the disconnect there? That's a little bit what Jesus is saying here. Why do you call me Lord, Lord? Why do you call me manager? Why do you call me teacher? Why do you call me rabbi and not do the things that I've laid out for you to do? And I think it's a confrontational moment from Jesus. But I also think it's a puzzled moment from Jesus. Like, I don't get that duplicity. I don't get that tension that you would say, you'd call me this, you'd want this, but at the same time, you wouldn't do what I've asked. You wouldn't live fully into what I've already asked you to do. I think it's that kind of moment for Jesus. Why do you not do what I ask you to do? And then again, further on in the paraphrase of his words, he says this, these words, the commands, the way I'm teaching you, they're not mere additions to your life, homeowner improvements to your standard of living. They are foundation words. They are foundation priorities. They are foundation habits and choices, words to build a life on. He says, if you work the words into your life, you're like a smart carpenter who dug deep and laid the foundation of his house on bedrock. When the river burst its banks and crashed against the house, nothing could shake it. It was built to last. But if you just use my words in Bible studies and don't work them into your life, you're like a dumb carpenter who built a house but skipped the foundation. When the swollen river came crashing in, it collapsed like a house of cards. It was a total loss. Jesus says, why do you call me Lord and not do the things I've instructed you? Why do you call me Lord but not do the things I've invited you to do? Why do you want my blessing but you don't want to follow my pattern of life? Why do you want me to accept you and to give you grace and you don't align with the things I've already so clearly invited you to do? And they said there's this two houses. All right, there's two houses, the same storm, the same conditions, but two houses. And one, what is Jesus saying? The one house is where Jesus is Lord as title. Jesus is Lord as label. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do the things I say? Where Jesus is the label on the house and the foundation is me, is my way, is myself. There's another house, the same storm, same conditions, where Jesus is Lord in title and in priority and in submission, in surrender, and in obedience. Jesus said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? And to have a firm foundation, is to have Jesus as Lord. To have him as Lord. The foundation is what's left when everything is stripped away. The foundation is what's left when the storm comes and everything is stripped and reduced down. To have that firm foundation is for Jesus to be Lord. A disciple lives with Jesus as Lord. And the primary sign that Jesus is Lord is that I do what he says. How do we build a foundation? How do we know that Jesus is Lord? Look at my life, and am I doing what he says? The kingdom is where what the king says happens. If he's not the final authority, if he's not the final voice, if he's not the foundation, he's not really Lord of my life. The primary sign that Jesus is Lord is that I do what he says. And we just got to be people as we try to grow as disciples of Jesus to say, am I doing what he says? Am I doing what he says? Especially if I want Jesus to continue to speak to me and change my life and refine my hearing of his voice. I want him to speak into my situation. The question is, are you doing what he's already spoken? Are you obeying what he's already invited into you? And we just got to say, like, are we doing what he says? Are we doing things like what Jesus says, keep your word? Keep your word. Are we doing things like when he says, pray, give, and fast regularly? When he says, go the second mile, are we doing that? Not just talking about it, not just knowing it. Do our lives reflect that? Forgiving others, love your enemies, going and making disciples, being baptized. Have we done the things that he's already said, this is what I want you to do? This is what I'm asking you. And if I'm Lord and if I'm leader, that means you'll do the things I've asked you to do. Yes, because I'm worthy of it, but because that's the best way your life is going to be built on this foundation. The primary sign that Jesus is Lord is not just what do I say, it's what do I do? What are the decisions? What are the priorities? What are the habits and the choices I'm making? And am I already doing what he's asked me to do? And we should do what he says. We should do what he says. And most of us, we've grown up if we've grown up in a church setting, we've heard that, right? Like we should read your Bible, pray every day, and you'll grow, right? Like that's the formula, right? Like do what the word says. Do what he's told you to do. Why? Because he's God, right? That's the logic. But Jesus doesn't stop there. He doesn't just play the God card. He doesn't just play the sovereignty card. No, Jesus goes deeper and further and more holistic and, again, revolutionary than that. I want to take you to one more passage of the scriptures, Matthew chapter 7. Yes, the primary sign that Jesus is Lord is that I do what he says. But here's the truth. He isn't just centered on obedience or conformity or action only. Jesus says this, not everyone who says to me, here's the phrase again, Lord, Lord. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. It's like, okay, that's tracking, Jesus. It sounds like what we heard earlier. Many will say to me on that day, that impending day, when we will all give an account for how we lived this life and how we responded to Jesus. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your names go to drive out demons, and in your name, some of you caught it, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, not you just didn't do what I told you to do. No, I never knew you. Jesus puts the second thing on the table. So I'm not just about conformity. I'm not just about rules. I'm not just about, again, playing my guard card and saying, you should because I'm God. You should because I'm worthy of it. No, Jesus says, yes, you should do that. But you should also do it from a place of knowing me. That my heart was for you to get to the end of your life and realize you never had a relationship with me that led to obedience. That you never had an understanding of me, of God, yes, as sovereign and out there and powerful, but also God as Emmanuel and relational and personal. Jesus says it this way in a different, just summed up way, John chapter 14. He says this, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll make me the foundation. If you love me, I'll be more than just Lord and title. And there's two ways to read that passage. There's two ways to read that sentence. If you love me, you'll do what I say. If you love me, you'll clean your room, spiritually. If you love me, you'll go here and do this and give this amount and say this thing. If you love me, I think the tone of Jesus, if you love me, oh, you'll keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll do what I say. If you love me, you'll realize I own it all anyway. If you grow in relationship with me, you'll understand my heart so that when you surrender, it's hard, but it's worth it, and you see the bigger picture, the bigger story I'm writing. If you love me, you'll be about the people and the things I'm about. Jesus says, if you love me, obedience will follow. If you love me and you really know who I am, I'll be more than a title. See, Jesus says, yes, we should do what he says because he's Lord, but doing what he says flows from loving who he is. Doing what he says flows from loving who he is. If you love me, if you know me, you'll do what I say. You'll be about what I'm about. You'll prioritize what I want you to prioritize. If you love me. Let me ask you two questions. Are you doing what he says, but missing who he is? Are you doing what he says, but missing who he is? Are the choices right? The behaviors are right? You're avoiding that thing because you know it's bad, or that person because you know you shouldn't. Are you doing the right thing? But you're missing the heart of Jesus. You're missing the character of Jesus that would invite you to a life of surrender, that would invite you to a life of purity, that would invite you to a life of submission. Are you doing what he says but missing who he is? Or are you loving who he is but really not doing what he says? Do you love when we say, like, I will make room and do whatever you want to, and God of revival and nothing you can't do, and yes, I love that, but then I look at my life and, man, it's not really oriented after the things Jesus asked me to do. I love his grace, I love his salvation, but if I'm honest, I'm not really following him as Lord. Which of the two questions do you need to wrestle with today? Are you doing what he says? Are you doing all the right things? But some of us, we're doing the right things from the wrong places today. We're doing the right things from the wrong place. If we're honest, the love, the admiration, the respect, the honor for Jesus is lacking. If you love me, you keep my commandments, you're like, I think that love has been diminished. I think that love isn't there. I think that honor and that appreciation and that respect for who he is and what he's done in my life, I think that's honestly, it's gotten a little cold, it's gotten a little stale and stagnant. Or do you love who he is? Do you love his character? Do you love what he's about and what he can do? But are the choices you're making, the decisions you're prioritizing, the habits you're forming, are they not really in alignment with what he's so clearly laid out? Which one of those questions do you need to wrestle with? Which one of those questions would the Spirit of God just say, hey, I want to stir something up in there. I want to work in that place. I want you to go a level deeper, a level greater in that area. We want to let Jesus lead. A disciple lets Jesus lead. A disciple lives with Jesus as Lord and makes him the foundation. I'm going to give you just two ideas, two ways to live that out. The first is this: to seek him. To seek him. To seek him. It's hard to love somebody you don't know. It's hard to have affection and admiration and response and surrender and submission and excitement about somebody you don't know. Jesus says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll do the things I've asked you to do. And loving me comes from seeking me and finding me, and asking and receiving, and knocking and being answered, and growing in your experiential knowledge of who he is as a person. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Seek him. Seek him. If you say, I want to live a life on the rock. Yes, I want to do what Jesus says, and I want to do it from the right place. Seek him. Maybe you'd pray as we're in this disciple series, God, would you show me things about yourself I've never known before? Would you show me things that I've heard about but I've never walked in? Would you take me to a new place of appreciation and intimacy with you? God, would I seek you and find you like you said I could? Seek him. Seek him. And he'll reveal himself to you. He said, if you seek me, you'll find me. He'll reveal himself to you. Maybe it's a moment in prayer. Maybe it's a moment in a group setting. Maybe it's in a moment of worship. Maybe it's outdoors. I know for some of us, hunting season is coming. That's like when the heavens open up, right? And God's just like, he's there with you in the wood. I would pray God would meet you in the deer stands like he never has before. Would we seek him, say, God, I want to experience you in new ways. I want to do the right things from the right place, a heart of seeking you and finding you. And then obey him. Obey him. Obey him. Charles Stanley said this, a great pastor and author. He said, the consequences of our obedience are God's. The consequences of our disobedience are ours. Some of us were scared to obey God because we're scared of being taken wrongly, misunderstood. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to make that decision. I don't want to be too radical. I don't want to be too pushy. I don't know what it is for you. The consequences of your obedience to God are his. He gets to live with the consequences, and I think he can deal with them. Consequences of our disobedience are ours. Seek him. Seek him. And I believe as you seek him, you'll hear from him. You'll experience invitations. You'll experience correction and maybe rebuke or refining or sharpening. And then when those things come, would you have the courage and the faith and the trust to surrender that I'm going to obey him? I'm going to make him the foundation, not just in my words, but in my actions. And when I do that, I'm laying a foundation in someone who's unshakable, in someone who's always worthy, in someone who's always faithful. I'm going to seek him, and I'm going to obey him. I'm going to seek him, and I'm going to obey him. I want to take you one more time back to the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 6. These words I speak to you, the commands I give you, the things I invite you into, the way I'm leading your life. They're not mere additions. Don't try to just stack them on to all your priorities and all the things you're doing. Don't just say, Jesus, come follow me. No, they're foundation words. Foundation truths. Words to build a life on. If you work those words through obedience and trust and seeking and obeying, you're like a smart carpenter who dug deep and laid the foundation of his house on the rock. Where do you need to seek him? Where do you need to grow in your love for him? And where do you need to obey him? Not just with your words, with your life.